What's up? So today I'm actually going to be reviewing, as you can see, Star Wars Edge of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, and Force and Destiny. So, why don't I close that real quick and get right into this. So, this is kind of just off the cuff, but I did this on my original channel, and I figured it was more appropriate for this, and now I also have the expansions, because they weren't even out at the time that I reviewed this one. As you can see, it's a little beat up. It's a lot older than these two. I just got these two this year, and I've had this one for 3 years, 4 years. Anyway, so I would just like to review them and basically say how I feel about them in comparison to other tabletops. Like, I've played, well, conveniently enough, I didn't put this away earlier. I've played Pathways. I've played a little bit of, that's not even in the shot. I've played a little bit of Dungeons and Dragons, and so, or I meant Pathfinder, my bad. Pathway is the school I attend. So I know a little bit about these things, and I would just like to say that, and this is obvious if you know anything about these games, that they are a lot more roleplay heavy than Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons are. I would say anyway. I don't know exactly how to word it, but in a lot of ways, and this is how it's designed, the dice, which I didn't get out because I'm a doofus, are designed to essentially enhance the story. So they like continue the story rather than just rolling numbers. Now, I don't have the dice in front of me, and I'm sorry, I can't reach them right now, but essentially there's a success. Here, I can actually show you in the books. It might be in this one, but so this is the GM screen for Edge of the Empire, which is the first one, which is right here. And it's got beautiful art on it. I can't show you the whole thing, unfortunately, but it sure has beautiful art on it. I can show you like this. So we got the Millennium Falcon, and then we got a Jedi, Boba Fett, and a Rebel is my guess. But which is interesting because there aren't even really Jedi in the first expansion. But anyway, so there's on the die there's a success symbol, a failure symbol, triumph, which is essentially like a success and an advantage. Then there's also an advantage, which I didn't mention, a despair and a threat. And here's a diagram of the dice. Right here. So that's the force die, that's setback die, boost die. I don't actually know what this one's called. Challenge die, difficulty die, proficiency die, and ability die. So, those are all the die right there. Sorry about my nose. I'm sure that's obnoxious. So anyway, that's the GM screen. It's got all the information that a GM's going to need. They're called GMs in this game rather than DMs because obviously we're not handling dungeons in this game, so they wouldn't be called that. So there's that. I only have the GM screen for the first expansion. I wish I had the other ones, but they're $15, and these were all gifts to me, so I don't have to worry about that. Anyway, here's the first expansion. So this first expansion is set around the time of Episode 4. Sorry about that glare there. I can't get rid of it. It's set around the time of Episode 4. As you can see, we got Chewbacca and Han Solo, the Millennium Falcon, and this one was honestly very good. So in this game, same with Dungeons and Dragons, you pick a career essentially. There's like barbarian stuff like that in Dungeons and Dragons. In this, they have normal careers, so we have the bounty hunter and so on and so forth. And then each career has specialization trees. So we have bounty hunter assassin, bounty hunter survivalist, and bounty hunter gadgeteer. And that's very nice because you can have, actually, one complaint I have, the base game only has like 8 races or something like that, 8 species to play as, and, I don't know if you know anything about Star Wars, but I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you know enough about Star Wars, and essentially, there's a lot more than 8, species in Star Wars, so it's interesting that that's all that they included in this, and that's actually a decent, sized complaint that I'm sure other people have had too. Yeah, see, Rhodians, Trandoshans, Twi'leks, Wookiees, Bothans, droids, Gans, and humans. That's all that's included in this book. And each other book only adds 8 more. And they don't even add 8 more. They also only have 8. So, like, this one, I don't remember about Force and Destiny, but this one also includes humans. And droids, I think. Might even include Wookiees, which means, they're only potentially adding 6 or 5 which is not very many. But what's also interesting about this as compared to Dungeons and Dragons, now as far as I understand, I've never DM'd Dungeons and Dragons, but as far as I understand, there is not like a vehicle system. Now, in terms of like vehicles having stats and stuff, in the same way that players have stats. So in this game, vehicles also have stats, and that is seen in the back of this book here, right here. No, wait, I lied. Those are enemies. Where are the... Oh, actually, while I'm here, I'll get back to that, but here's the character creation sheet, both of them. It has 2 pages, obviously, as you can see here. It's pretty customizable. It's really interesting how that they did it with your... You don't roll dice to get modifiers and then, you know, add those or set those to your stats. Each species has a starting number for each of these characteristics, and then you get a set amount of XP for your skills. You can also update your characteristics. And then your brawn is like your wounds and your soak, and your soak is essentially a shield, so you take 5 damage. If your soak is 3, you only take 2 damage. Stuff like that. It's very interesting. Anyway, here's the ship name, or the ship sheet, I mean, and I said that because I read ship name. So you get to name your ship. Lots of customizable things about this vehicle sheet, but it's very interesting because it has stats, as I said. Now, like I said about Dungeons and Dragons, in comparison, not that I'm hating on Dungeons and Dragons, because it's really not a bad game. In fact, I enjoy it. You know, if you're in the mood for Star Wars and some hardcore role-playing, I would recommend playing the hardcore role-playing Star Wars game. But if you're in the mood to, you know, maybe relax a little bit and just have some fun with some friends, I would recommend Dungeons and Dragons. But, man, I can't find the vehicle section. Where is it at? Well, I already showed you. So, yeah, they have stats as well. That's pretty much all I can say. So let's move on to the next expansion, which is Age of Rebellion. Now, this was taking place in episode 5 and 6, as far as I understand, which is fairly obvious with the Death Star exploding in the background. We got an X-Wing, Leia, and Luke. This one was more, with all the classes they added and whatnot, it's more... I'll be right back. Sorry about that. My microphone fell. Anyway, so whereas the first expansion was more about, like being a rogue on the outside of the galaxy, like, you know, being a criminal. It's more like being a criminal. You can be a good guy, but it's more like being a criminal. This is more like military-based, and involved with the Rebels or the Empire. I think it's more based around the Rebels, but you can obviously be included in the Empire. You can do whatever you want. I mean, it's a tabletop role-playing game, right? You can do whatever you want, especially if the game master says, hey, we're going to be doing an Empire campaign, something like that. So in this one, they added a lot of, as I said, oh yeah, and each one has a nice little sheet here in the beginning that introduces you to the story of that one. This one added more vehicle combat, and it added more classes that were made for vehicle combat, such as the Commander Commodore, and the Commander Squadron Leader, as you can see here. So this one was more geared towards combat, I would say, whereas the first one was like heavily role-playing, where this one isn't, like, not role-playing, because it definitely is, but the first one was like just mostly role-playing, I would say. This one added a fair share of combat and role-playing, and I think it was a way to, you know, say, hey, you know, we're not just about walking around, or, you know, sitting around and talking to your friends as a character. We're also... My light just burnt out. Chill. We're also about killing stuff, you know, because who doesn't like killing stuff, right? Everyone does, especially tabletop players. So that's all I really have to say about this one. It just kind of continued the story and made it so you can see it's got stuff here talking about vehicle combat. So it's just... Oh, and add new planets. Like, well, all the planets were available in the first one, obviously. If you could think of it, it's there. But they added more descriptions for different planets, because that was in the first one, as you saw while I was flipping through. So that was Age of Rebellion. I might do a more in-depth for each of them later in the future, but I just kind of wanted to move this. I wanted to do a better one than I did on my original channel and move it over to this channel, so I'm doing that. And this will be up probably like 5 days after the first one. First video, maybe second video, I don't know. Anyway, on to the last and, in my opinion, best expansion. This is Force and Destiny. So this one is obviously mid episode 6, I would say, and post episode 6. It's about this one added Jedi. So in the other ones, I didn't tell you this, but you know, lightsabers costed 10,000 credits, which is a crazy amount of credits in that game. And it also, you couldn't really become, you could become force sensitive, or you could be force sensitive and you could learn force moves, but you could not, like, they weren't very good. Like, you could pick stuff up with the force and like move it slightly, but you didn't really have any, you know, you weren't like crushing people or cutting people's heads off or anything, you know. And if you had a lightsaber, that was extremely rare, and you probably got it through the black market and are not trained in it. Odds are, unless your GM wasn't kind enough to put in a real person. Oh man, I've never, well, it shows you how much how good I am at reviewing things, but I've never seen this page before. Look at, just focus, jeez. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, this one also expanded the story in the same way that Age of Rebellion did, but, and what everyone obviously wants, they added, well, first of all, new species, and Natalan was added, and I don't know about you, but Natalan is the species. But, and as I said, this is what everyone wanted, right? We wanted to be Jedi. You know, you're playing Star Wars and you want to be a Jedi. Or you don't, but you're in the minority on that one, probably. Now, I don't actually play the game. I GM full-time, but, you know, I also want to be a Jedi, and now I can include Jedi with this being out. Which is interesting, because I actually just made one of my players, he's always wanted to play a Force-sensitive character, but the game limits that, so I always helped him along with what he wanted, but I could never give him, you know, he could never be Jedi Master Yoda or whatever. He couldn't do that. But now he can, and I actually just made him Force sensitive in our last playthrough. Not even Force sensitive. I gave him his training. He's a Jedi now, which is interesting. He's actually a Guardian Peacekeeper, which is what you see right here. And so, you know, I would say that this is probably the most popular one. I don't actually know, and I know that these games are not very popular because, like, my stores that I attend, the one I go to in Phoenix, Arizona is Amazing Discoveries, and that's a pretty good store, but I know that they don't stock this stuff because people don't play it, really. But the store I attend in Illinois, where I used to live and sometimes visit, is called Titan Games, and it's very good, and it has all of these books. It also even has the GM screens and adventure modules, which are pre-made adventures by Fantasy Flight. So, essentially, if you want my recommendation, I would say for people who are more into role-playing, who like tabletops but more role-playing than combat, this is for you. If you want combat, like heavy combat, but, you know, a good story, but I feel like the players are not so heavily involved. Like, even the best person, you know, Chris Perkins, you know, he's not. I watch, you know, the Acquisitions Incorporated stuff, and they're just not as involved as they can be in this. Like, in this, the players change the story just through and through. Like, they make the story. I give a brief, or not a brief, I give a in-depth background in, like, line to follow, but they go off the line just all the time and make, like, alternate universes to what it was gonna be, you know, like, freaking, I don't know, like, I don't know, what is that, Back to the Future, like a Back to the Future type thing, you know, they're just going off the rails, and it's cool, it's awesome, because they're, you know, telling a story to the GM the same way that the GM is telling a story to them, and that's really, really cool experience. And they still get to play their characters, they still get to be these great characters that they've created and that are in depth and have rich backgrounds and stuff in the same way that the characters that the GM put in does, and it's a really good experience. And even if you don't want to buy this, if your store allows it, I would recommend going into your store, sitting down and reading up on the rules, and maybe playing a session. Each book comes with a little adventure in the back and pre-made characters, and I would recommend playing it because it's fun. And also, Fantasy Flight did, for Free RPG Day 2013, they gave out a free little booklet, and you can get it in PDF on their website, called Under a Black Sun, I think. It's a free adventure with little rules in it, and it also has a conversion sheet, so you can use normal dice for the game. And so that's awesome. And there's also free dice apps all over the place, and you can get the dice with the official app for like $8, I think, on the Android store or the Apple store. So anyway, that's my endorsement of this game. I love it. Fantasy Flight, please sponsor me. But either way, that's it. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for coming to Booster Gold. It's gonna be fun. We're looking forward to it. Me and my brother have been trying to put together a tabletop channel for quite a while now, and we finally got around to it, and I'm excited for what can come of it. And because we already waste all our money opening packs and playing these games anyway, so why not put it on YouTube and waste my money with you? Anyway, I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you are interested in content like this, and like the video if you liked it. Also, let me know in the comments if you play this game or if you're interested in playing this game, and if you have any questions about it, ask me. I would love to answer. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video, which I have no idea what it's going to be, but I'll see you then.